Iran should know that Iraq is not an Iranian colony. We will maintain our dignity and honesty and not allow them to interfere in our internal affairs. Mustafa al-Hiti, Sunni politician.
Welcome back to Inside Iraq. We are discussing the political implications of the provincial elections in Iraq with member of Iraqi Parliament Maysoon Aldamuji and Mundher Adhami, who is with King's College of London. Mundher Adhami, you cast some doubt about al-Maliki's capability to resolve certain issues in Iraq. Tell me what you mean and what is the major problem in your mind?
Not so long ago, al-Maliki was regarded as a failure. There was a lot of talk, and people, the American administrators and Condoleezza Rice and the rest, kept coming and going and giving ultimatums to Maliki because he was failing to do anything. Then gradually he probably succumbed, or there was another deal with them, and he started being built up as an Iraqi nationalist. And they dropped the name of Islamic from their Islamic Dawah party, and he started talking about Iraqi nationalism, and he started standing up, so-called standing up.
But is it possible also, Mundher Adhami, because he stood up to the militias, Muqtada al-Sadr in Basra, to the militias in the north? That's perhaps the reason why the Iraqis, they have rallied around him. They saw him as unsectarian. He strikes both in the north and the south, against the tribes, against anybody who is challenging the state of Iraq.
That's right. That has happened, but it's all seems to be manipulated. What I'm saying is that al-Maliki is not a character. Al-Maliki is not responsible for the suppression of militias. The Maliki does not even have the power to move a single officer from one place to the other. Both the forces belonging to the Interior Ministry and the Defense Ministry are all under the auspices of the American generals. I mean, this was admitted by the people, one of the Tawafuq people at the Defense Ministry, who actually, this is their quota, and they say that we cannot move people. So the Maliki is not responsible for any activity on the ground in these terms. And al-Maliki was reluctant and opposed the Sahwa, the
Awakening Councils.
Tribal Council. The Awakening Council, the tribal councils, but gradually he swallowed it, and gradually he started trying to do his own. So this seems to be a kind of made-up figure. And I don't believe in this. The issue here is that actually one of the issues about this election is that this is supposed to be about local councils, about governance councils, and it's technical issue, as Maysoon was talking about. But so what has Maliki to do with it? Now it became a referendum on Maliki and so on and so forth. I was surprised that Maysoon says the governors' councils are not responsible for refugees. These refugees belong to these governors. They have the rights of the citizens in these governors. So Iraq, Baghdad, for example, has 700,000 refugees outside it. Now, this is the responsibility of the council in Baghdad to look after them, to ensure that they have their food quotas, to ensure that they have education. Who else is responsible for them?
You asked that question, let her answer. Go ahead, Maysoon.
First of all, I agree with what Mundher said about Maliki. As someone who is opposed to Maliki, I think, well, he belongs to an Islamist party, a Shia party, sectarian party, but he has changed his rhetoric. I am yet to be, I need to believe that this is genuine and not just just for the elections. This is one thing. I'd like to answer the thing about refugees, which is a huge problem in Iraq. I mean, Iraq cannot settle without finding a solution to the refugees, both inside and outside Iraq. And this cannot happen without a real, genuine national reconciliation. It's not enough to give people food and to put them in tents for a while and just give them blankets. They have to go back to their homes. And this, in reality, the provincial councils are not allowed to do. This is something that has to be done by a policy, both by Iraqi politicians, neighboring countries, and all the international, I'm going to call it interference in Iraqi politics. We need to create a nation of law and order.
The central question that is facing the Iraqi government right now, from the north to the south, is the question of corruption. For the past 3-4 years, even Al-Maliki, he is saying that I am sick and tired of this al-fasad. He calls it administrative corruption, meaning ministers and governors, they are stealing the country blind, and he knows them one by one, and he admits that he is incapable of bringing any one of them into justice and put them behind bars, simply because the sectarian quota, as a reflection of the Iraqi constitution, prevents him from challenging anybody. So why should we believe that this provincial elections is going to make any difference?
Because it reflects the will of the people. It was free elections. People were not forced to vote for anyone like what used to happen in Saddam's time. And by the way, I need to comment on something that Mundher said earlier. I agree that a new class of politicians emerged in 2003, and it is only because for 40 years there was no political life, there was no opposition, no one was allowed to criticize anyone, and there had to be this new political class. Some obviously came from outside Iraq, but some also emerged from inside Iraq. Big movements like the Sadris, like the Islamic Party, etc. It was all a reaction of 40 years of people being deprived of expressing any kind of opinion.
These politicians have presided over a catastrophe which is continuing. This is year on year, and there's no improvement while the wealth of the country is being squandered. The statistics shows about $177 billion have been the income of Iraq from oil alone. 177 billion. If you actually divide this among the people, you would see that Iraqis will actually live in relative prosperity. But what has happened? Iraqis are still without clean water, without electricity, without health services, without education.
Let me pose the same question to you.
And they are all saying it. They all are saying it, but they are not responsible.
Does Al-Maliki have the spine to rule with an iron fist and put people behind bars, those whose hands are caught in the till?
I don't think so. I think the corruption in Iraq is endemic and systematic. The whole of the occupation have promoted corruption. The Americans are hugely corrupt in Iraq. They are corrupt from the stealing of oil to the American reports on corruption in the spending of American money, not only the Iraqi money, is huge. They have spent several billions of dollars in Iraq with no results whatsoever. The same thing with the Iraqis.
Absolutely true, I agree. I tell you why, because we never had true real audits in Iraq. We don't even have a system of audits in Iraq. There was a president who spent money right, left and center without being questioned. Now we have to build our own audit structures in Iraq. Corruption always existed. We mustn't think that
you are telling me, Maysoon Aldamuji, that this
by the occupation.
So you are telling me that since
I'm against.
Hold on just a second.
I'm giving you reasons.
You are telling me right now there is no audit system, so the corruption is going to continue regardless of this provincial elections.
Unless we build national institutions that are independent from any government and can work independently and have their own funding.
Thank you very much.
Let me continue to have corruption.
Let me have a very quick comment, a final comment from Mundher Adhami. Go ahead.
That's why the elections and all these shows, the spectacles on these are the fourth elections. These are sideshows. They have nothing to do with reality. Iraq is in the bottom of the 180 countries in the world in terms of corruption. Now, Maysoon is trying to put all the blame on the history in the back. In Saddam's time, regardless of dictatorship and oppression and fascism, in Saddam's time they were able to rehabilitate the electricity system and the roads and so on after the 91 war within 6 months. In Iraq, in Saddam's time, the food quotas were distributed very fairly by the admission of the United Nations. Iraq lived for 6 years without exporting a single drop of oil legally. This is what happens in there.
Mundher Adhami of King's College London, Maysoon Aldamuji, a member of Iraqi Parliament, thank you for being guests on Inside Iraq. To access the show and to send us your comments, please go to aljazeera.net/English. We have reached the end of this show. Join me next week when we take another look inside Iraq. Until then, goodbye.